I've been on the internet for a long time, and for a lot of that time, I've been doing YouTube. You don't really think about how much time passes when you make videos. You just kind of do it, and it's a decent hobby, and you let it go by. But something that doing YouTube has taught me is how nice chat room games are. You know, simple games where you can just kind of log on, hang about. You know, even if you're not making friends, you can keep yourself entertained. And I kind of miss that. See, when I was in middle school, this was 9 years ago at this point, I was a Club Penguin YouTuber. Honestly, it was filled with a lot more drama than I thought it would be. But, I loved Club Penguin. So I made some small videos, silly videos, just showing off the rooms of the island. And it worked for a time. What happened was the people I became friends with, they put out better videos faster than I could on a Chromebook as a 12-year-old. So I kind of fell to the wayside. And I watched them grow and have their own controversies. And I just kind of lived on. I kept doing YouTube consistently for a while, but I could only keep up so much while trying to keep my grades up. Chat room games are important, but it's kind of hard to express. When I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a few acquaintances, the small circle of people that I sat with at lunch, but ultimately I didn't have a lot of friends. I just wasn't good at socializing, and to this day, my neurodivergency remains undiagnosed. But Club Penguin was something different. Even when I was in elementary school, Club Penguin was around. Ooh, big boy. Club Penguin's not around anymore. Shut down back in 2017. By then, I'd long since fallen off playing the game. It's already hard enough trying to organize friends to get together when all you could really say is hop on a server at this time and hope they joined you. I thought I had found my community, and yet it eluded me. So as I grew into high school, my interests and my technology evolved. I was no longer stuck to whatever I could get away with playing on a Chromebook. I had a PS4 that I got for Christmas as a freshman. Eventually, through enough begging and saving up, I managed to even get a PlayStation VR headset. Now, my videos exploring Club Penguin, those are lost to time. Those were privated half a decade ago on a YouTube channel that has long since been abandoned. Last video uploaded over 6 years ago at this point, just detailing that I was moving on to other things. Those videos are gone now, but Rec Room, I got into that after I grew up a bit more. Rec Room was really my first exploration into virtual reality, especially since VR chat isn't available on PlayStation. It provided me a space to interact with others, to hang out, and it was in a limited capacity, but it's what I had. If you scroll back far enough on this channel, you'll find videos detailing the time that I spent. Each week I'd find something new to do, pretty often in Rec Room, and I'd upload my adventure, the people I interacted with. To this day, I still remember going up a giant climbing rock, my quest to get to the top. You start to miss those days. Back when everything was simpler. Your only real objective was to make it through high school, keep up with your grades, keep yourself entertained, and try to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life. Back then I had a lot of hope that content creation was going to be something I could do. I tried it for a while, but I just couldn't seem to stick with it. And, that's fine. Everybody has peaks and valleys in their interests and their hobbies, but for me, I put just enough focus into my education to make a career online a bit infeasible at the time. I think my biggest experiment with Rec Room is easily my senior project. See, at my high school, our senior projects, they required you to come up with a project, something that you could do mostly on your own, and put 20 hours of work into it and prove it. I wanted to recreate Weird Al's Hardware Store song, having people that I randomly came across in Rec Room provide the lyrics, and I would chop it together. By the time I was to the end of the first chorus, halfway through even, I realized it was a bit infeasible and pivoted. I was pretty proud of myself for finishing the entire project by early February. Problem is, I was in the class of 2020, and switching over to online learning in the wake of the pandemic, it made the escapism to the virtual world that VR provided, well, not as fun. By then, I was already years into a vicious cycle of having to switch between my mother and my father's house, so once I had to pile my focus on learning on top of always being home, it became a bit less feasible to log around to my PlayStation camera. But I still kept up with it. I found a nice hangout spot, a place with a campfire, a treehouse, and a cave. It was somewhat of a comfort in those trying times. And in those days when I was still posting about my VR exploits, I would go there sometimes. Sometimes it would be active. Ultimately, it was kind of safe, especially at nighttime. Those times where everything is quiet, where you can't track the footsteps of the other people you live with because they're not walking around to make them. Chat rooms provided that comfort, these social games, and I'll admit, sometimes I cried. I was still sitting in the place that brought me suffering, but at least with 2 TVs strapped to my face, I could feel like I was far away enough that it gave me that sense of comfort. I needed that. It helped me a lot when things got rough at times, but of course, I grew out of that too. I could only keep so many games on my PlayStation, and getting the VR lugged around every few days was only getting more and more cumbersome. By then, I'd picked up a bit of voice acting work, and it's led to the wonderful friendship I have with so many people. Shout out to Andy, Lou, who has given me an amazing community of fellow creatives to interact with. But I still went through my own trials and tribulations throughout high school, throughout the pandemic. But even after I graduated high school, even as I was getting more into this, a bit more of an ask, being in public school, that's when you're supposed to develop your social skills, but for a long time, I was the bullied nerd. People knew my username, and people didn't know that my name and face were attached to it. I had become an urban legend, infamous, something I had always wanted and should have never wished for. Crazy how life works sometimes, isn't it? As I started to get into college, go through my classes, as I started to work a job, I got exposed to the grueling realities of pizza delivery. And after you meet so many people who just look at you as a vessel for their food, you get a bit disillusioned. Still excited to meet new people and talk to people, but it just gets a little bit more grating each day, as you're seen as less of an object and more of a vehicle, as you keep going through your life, wondering how you're gonna proceed. A silly little game about fishing pops up. You found yourself disillusioned from your past experiences, but then you come across something silly, something with charm, something simple. The entry price is more than the usual free, but it's only $5. It's popular enough to have a group of people come on, surge tens of thousands of people active a day, and you think, I might as well get in on it. And it's got a simple allure, but a charm. Enough customization to showcase all your favorite video game characters. You've got chalk to draw your favorite creations. You've got a guitar to go ham and potentially play midis. It's nice. The game's got enough of an adult edge so that you can find like-minded people who can get in on the joke. But it's also safe enough that if you just want to play on your own and hang out with friends, you get to fish, and you get to relax. And anytime one of your friends shows even a vague amount of interest, you work enough, you can treat yourself, you can spare the $5 to get your friends into it, so you do, and they have a good time. And now you don't need to worry about, I want to hang out, but I want to feel like we're doing something, so you fish on the web. You go webfishing. And I think the internet just needed a game like this. Sure, it had its surge of people who were a bit too into a certain side of the game. The developer adapted, and while the game's massive popularity surge has fallen away, the game has retained the elements that make it a nice, relaxing experience. And I'm happy a game like Webfishing exists. A game that has some spooky elements, but is ultimately casual enough that anyone can pick up and play without worrying about being intimidated. If you want to just take a seat, strum along to your guitar while your buddies fish for you, you can do that. If you want to throw down a boombox of copyright-free music and blow all your money on scratch tickets, you can do it. And if you want to sit there and let a stream of consciousness exit your mind while you try and catch the biggest fish you can, you can do it. The world needs more of these casual hangout games. And I'm happy that Webfishing exists in this time to be one of them. And if push comes to shove, you can always put the house on it, baby. God damn it.